Let's see. Okay, so it is December 5th, and before I show you what I've been working on this week and last week, and tons of construction noise around, but I want to give you a little bit of an update of this covered bar. And I finally got rid of these sawhorses that have been holding up some material, because I've been actually working and getting a chance to work on this. Let me show you where things are at right now. So I've got, I don't really know the last thing that I put. I think I was working on the roof panels, and so this drip edge is all done. All this flashing on this side, the flashing on the front side is all done, and everything's screwed in. The panels are screwed in up top. And one thing that I've been working on this morning so far has been putting these Simpson strong tie panels on, and I had to change things out. I had hurricane ties on there, but they made it so they were getting in the way of the installation of these, so I had to switch them out for a different type of tie. It was really just overdoing it, because I have so many things tying into the roof and into these big 6x6s, but I just wanted to, you know, make sure there was a hurricane tie there, because these things are solid. These things are solid steel, so it's linking this whole cross section together. But I was finally able to get those on, and by doing so, I would say the roof and the structure, as far as the roof is concerned, to the front, is 100% done. So I was getting this stuff out of the way and the sawhorses out of the way, so this front area is finally clear, so that I can actually start at some point framing out this countertop. So all I have to do left up on the roof is I have the flashing started on this side, and I'm probably about right here in this section, and so I just have to, I'm all out of roof screws, so I have to go get some more. So once I have some more roof screws, I'll be able to finish this up and put some more flashing there, cover that, and then finish the flashing on the back side. And then that will basically, for the most part, be done. There will be some things I work on up on the roof later on at some point, but now I'm just trying to work on the actual structure itself, and which I'm going to be really glad to get to that point where I feel like it's pretty much ready to go. Yeah, because it's been a long time coming. Of course, I had to work on some other projects that were higher priority, so a lot of the garden work out here got kind of pushed back. So now I'm happy, since you know, the year, as the year closes out, projects kind of slow down. So I have like about a month or so to really just, you know, hit it hard to get some of this stuff done. And so I would say my goal is to have this completely done, bar top, all that stuff, by the beginning of 2023. And in the meantime, I also got started another project, because why not? All for the sake of using materials. I don't know if I've shown this in the previous video footage I've taken. Let me move around here so you guys can get a good idea. So this steel cube, and I'm not sure if I put it together and have shown it, but I ended up reconnecting it to itself. I was looking at a couple different things, like right there and then over there, and finally just came to the conclusion, let me put it back together in its original self, and let me figure out, you know, what can I do to utilize it in the space, what can I add to it. And I was stuck on the fact that this basically rests on the ground, and so you have an 1.5 inch metal piece that would basically stick up from the ground if I just let it rest on the ground. And so I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to, let me see if I can cover some of this wind noise. What am I going to do to actually make it so I can put, either fill it in with rocks or something to bring that level up, so that, you know, you don't have this 1.5 inch piece of metal sticking up from the ground that people can trip on. And so I was like, well, I've got enough material, I believe, that I can actually frame up a deck. And so that's what I decided to do. And so last week I started that, got the cube up on these concrete footers and leveled everything out, and basically started to inlay a framing system for this floor. So this framing is connected to the metal cube at the corners there, and then the wood itself is actually resting the majority of the weight of the wood and all this is all resting on the footers. So it's going directly into the ground. I mean, this is a 10 by 10 space, so it's not very big, but I've got, you know, basically 3 footers on every side, the corners, the middle, you know, the middle, corners, middle, corner, middle, and then directly in the center. So it's super solid, you know, it's not going anywhere, and it's really just reinforcing this whole area. So there's, you know, there's plenty of space and distribution and all that for, you know, you could have 100 people in this, probably not, but you know, you could have a lot of people, so there's not going to be any issue there. I'm going to put an extra piece of framing that's going to rest in this channel. I'm going to move these blocks a little bit, so there's going to be an additional piece of framing down the middle that's, you know, resting on the footers, and then is connected to this joist here. And so this thing isn't going anywhere. So basically what I have to do now, I was trying to finish off some of the roof on the covered bar, and I'm getting close to stopping port because I'm running out of materials, and I don't necessarily want to start the bar top frame just yet because I have to think about it for a second. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch gears and come back to this project and install all of my joist hangers, since I still have plenty of these joist hangers from the Box Bazaar deck, and so I'm going to use them. So all of these are tied in, you know, 3 deck screws directly into the joist from this fascia board, and I'm going to be using the joist hangers. So this thing's really just going to be engineered to work how a deck is supposed to work. And so once I've got that all squared away and I feel comfortable in making sure everything's ready to get decked out, then basically what this does is it gives me an opportunity to use so much more of this decking material that I have a ton of leftover, and I have more pieces that are shorter than like the original 12-foot lengths. And so that was really part of this build, was like, what can I do to use up some of those shorter pieces of the deck boards? And so this is going to do it. It's not going to be all as straight away as if I just laid 10-foot sections and just screwed down. So I'm going to go, I am going to use a pattern, and that's going to allow me to use the shorter lengths of those deck boards. So I figure, you know, it might be kind of short. I might do one that spans maybe, you know, 2 or 3 of these joists and then stagger it, so I'll have a pattern, a certain length that will fit. So I will have to use some longer boards, but I'm trying to do as much as I can to use you know, all this material that I have. So that is where that is at, and so I will hopefully try to get those joist hangers on before the end of today. And I guess I can give, I don't know if I've given an update. I think I took some footage of taking down this pergola. I was originally over there, and so the materials all here, I milled it down to 8-foot sections for these 4x4s, and I was able to take off a lot of the decayed and rotted part. So I've got some pretty decent lumber over here. This is all good to go, and I actually started laying out the design for the footers and spacing them how I think they should be spaced. And so I've got 6 of them there, so those are kind of just ready to go. I don't know, I definitely didn't take any videos of doing this, and so helping our gardener Harvey get all of our plants over here. And so this is our tropical greenhouse build, and what I did in here was I helped clear everything out. I built these shelves, and so we've got shelving in here, tons of plants, tons of just, you know, we've got palms, we've got elephant ears. It really just makes the space feel like a tropical greenhouse. So it gets really warm in here. So what I'm going to be doing at some point is the misting line that I had installed on the arbor walkway. I took it down, and it's actually just right outside the window there. And so it's going to get installed around this inner roof ceiling. And so you connect it and hook it up to water, and on a timer every, you know, 20-30 minutes or an hour, it'll mist in here for 20 minutes, whatever. So this environment's going to be perfect. It already gets naturally hot, so we really just need to add water and moisture to the mix, and it'll give us that humid environment for perfect for kind of greenhouse growing, especially tropical plants. So that is currently where that is at. And as always, just trying to use things up. I do have a little bit of a plan on this wall to kind of give this greenhouse some cover from the sun. Obviously, like I said, it gets really hot, and so I have to figure out how to kind of help with that. We do have windows, but there's no way to like create a draft naturally. So maybe down the line that someone actually installs some electrical fans, that actually exhaust fans that pull in and push out air. But I might have an idea to actually cover this lower wall section, kind of help with that. In the process of turning this compost pile over, so hopefully that's ready for the spring. Let's see, this section, not much has been going on over here, just because I've been working on the other projects and then working on projects inside. It's been nice that this grass is starting to fill in. Funny enough, these trees are actually doing well that started growing up straight through the bench, so I'll probably leave them like that. All of the oak tree that I cut up, the rest of it's all right here, the big kind of quarters and the smaller pieces there. And in here, you know, same thing, just kind of trying to use up all this material that I have. And so that's kind of going the way it's going. But this whole space is a lot clearer than it was a year ago, that's for sure. And so, and that's another reason why I'm trying to use up this decking material, so that I can use stuff that's in here and just continue the process of clearing this space out to get ready for, you know, what can potentially happen in this area with the aquaponics station. So let's walk back around. And I've been using a lot of the rock here for like the footers, and so that's given me a chance to kind of start the excavation of this section that will eventually get dug out. And we're back to the covered bar, so I'm going to figure out what I want to try to accomplish right now and by the end of the day, and kind of go from there. I might either take a break to go get some of those supplies so I can maybe wrap up the entirety of the flashing of the building, which would be nice. It would be one less thing off the list checked off. And then maybe then I'll transition over to working on the steel cube deck, which I kind of have the envision that it would be kind of this raised seating area where maybe we use some of these benches, but basically just a nice deck sitting area. And you can, nice thing is when you actually, you know, are standing up here, I mean, you have got a really just great view of the whole space, and you kind of give this like just a bird's eye, not I mean lower than a bird's eye perspective, but just a nice elevated look at the space. So I kind of like that. One thing that I kind of thought about was, you know, what could they potentially do with this? And I know the idea was pushed around about how nice it would be to have some kind of a outdoor cooking / prep kitchen or something, maybe a grilling area. And so this could potentially get built out with some, you know, shelving or something, and maybe have a station where you could install like a propane grill or something. But basically just give you a chance to potentially add some kind of a outdoor cooking prep environment where you're using stuff directly from the garden and you can prep it here, cook it here, present it here. But that's a whole nother project down the line. So to start, I just want to get started on building out this deck, and then I'll go from there. So well, I've been talking for 15 minutes, so I'm just going to get to work and, you know, continue this process of getting things done to wrap this space up. Okay, just gonna make a quick update video kind of towards the end of the day. Gonna kind of switch gears to something else, but I was able to finish all of the joist hangers and then also reinforce this middle beam with another 2x8 that goes all the way down to the concrete footers, and then it's screwed into the already hanging joists. And so that beam should be really strong. I mean, it's fully supported and double wide. So I think what I'm going to do next, and then also probably seen that video I planed, because that 2x4 by my 2x8 was a little bit taller than what I needed it to be to match the height of the already milled joist. And so I'm gonna mill it, use a planer to actually bring it down a little bit. So what I'm gonna do next time I'm here, which will be a couple days, is I think I am going to use some tape just to throw it on the tops of these joists. It's kind of a long-term thing, and I don't really need to be doing it because this is all pressure treated stuff, and I really think this is just a temporary site installation. If I was building a deck for a house, or for me or for someone, then I would go the extra mile to try to seal that top sill. But depending on what I have in stock, I will make the decision to either tape it or not. And then once I do that, I will switch gears and actually start framing out the actual deck and figuring out the pattern I'm going to go with. So that's pretty much it, I think, for today, at least outside. And the very most that I might do, depending on if I have my angle grinder, I don't think I do, is since I'm using these 2x8 joist hangers, and these things are milled down closer to 2x6, between 2x6 and 2x8, so I've got a little bit of a lip above the joist. So I'm going to actually use an angle grinder just to cut that off, so that when I start actually putting deck boards down, everything's nice and level. So I was pulling some scraps from deck scraps just to bring them over here, so when I start doing that, it's all kind of close by. Kind of cleared this area up, which is nice just to move. I got everything up on this sawhorse, all the leftover scraps and anything I might need to actually frame out this bar top. But as you can see, everything is all done. Kind of loop around here, so I got flashing on all of the drip edges and kind of just cleaned up the side a little bit. Got all this stuff on sawhorses, so it's up and out of the way, so that when I start framing this bar top out, I've got plenty of room to kind of figure out how I'm going to do this. And I have to kind of figure out, because the way that the plans for this bar were, was to have, there's this gap here between this siding and then this 6x6, and the way that I think I'm going to be framing out this countertop is that it's actually going to wrap around in like an L shape. And in order to do that, I'm going to have to frame out a ledger right here, and I want it to be basically run flush with the 6x6, and so I'll have to fill in this gap, I think, with another deck board, and then I might have to plane, because it's a little bit off on this side just because of using recycled lumber and stuff. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put another couple deck boards here and make it so this is flush between the 6x6 and then all the way down there, and then on top of that, that's where I'll install the ledger board and go directly into the 2x6 studs that are actually in the bar right there. So at least for right now, that's the way I'm going to think about doing it, doing this once I come back. But at least for now, the roof is pretty much all good to go, and I don't need to do anything else, at least until I start the next phase, but that's kind of going to be a little bit further down the line. So that is pretty much ready to go, and a lot more wrapped up than it has been. Let's see, nothing really got done over here. The other side was my main kind of project for today. Had to cut back some of that okra. It was starting to get pretty crazy, and once it starts to get too big, you know, you don't really want to use it. At that point, you're just using it for seeds for next season. So besides that, I'm just kind of cleaning the side up and get some things ready for when I come back, so that I can get back to doing this thing. And I'm gonna get out of here and potentially do some stuff inside.